All right, the second trade I'm going to make is I'm going to trade away Gregory Infante, sorry, for Albert Almora. I like Almora's ratings decent enough. I feel like he had a bad year last year, but could bounce back to some degree. The fact that he plays very good center field defense and is durable, and his just going into his arbitration years in 2019 is exciting to me. And I think an Almora center field, Rutherford right field, him in his left field could stand to be actually pretty exciting for the White Sox next year at the big league level. So Infante, I had nothing against him. He did pitch poorly, but his rating suggests that he could be a very good reliever, and he's also cost controlled. In fact, even more so cost controlled than Almora. But he is 31 years old too, and that so this is definitely a good move for us right now. So I'm going to do it. So that's trade number 2. And actually, the fans their interest increases slightly, which is good because when I traded Abreu, they weren't happy. So that's good. Our owner wants us to improve third base, which is a little bit surprising to me because Delmonico, while it wasn't an amazing year, it was still a good year. So yeah, we'll try to appease him a bit, and I'll see what I can do as far as scrounging up something at third base.
Okay, 2 new prospects I would like to call everyone's attention to right now. One of them is Josiah Seitler. He was drafted in the 13th round by yours truly. And if this changeup develops and if everything, it's going to obviously hard to get too excited about 19-year-olds. But if he were somehow to fully develop as stated, he could be a very solid starting pitcher for us. He is a lefty too, which is cool. And another sort of diamond in the rough was someone who I did not draft. The computer actually drafted in the 17th round. And it's this center fielder named Dylan Lefriere or something like that. And 65 home run power kind of is the headliner of his skill set. So 2 more guys we'll be keeping our eyes on. I always keep the list of who's a prospect in terms of like on the short list, and who I actually control. That's always constantly rotating based on the feedback my scouts are giving me about these players. So players are added, players are taken off, so on and so forth. All right, so good to be able to at least call attention to them. In fact, one more player that I will highlight is 9th round pick Blaze Alexander, who very poor gap power, very poor home run power. I'd like to see hopefully at least gap power maybe have some improvement, but that 60 contact potential, 60 eye potential, 55 avoid case potential, combined with good speed and potentially very good defense, it looks like he would be a very good shortstop for us. Could be a very sort of good prototypical leadoff guy if he were able to fully reach his potential, someone who can get on base at a very high clip. So so he is also going to be added to the list of people we'll be keeping an eye on. And that's good news, for a 9th round pick. All right, second trade might be a controversial pick for me. Kopech, this is more of a problem of the game than real life, but this changeup still hasn't improved over the course of the year, and you would like it to be at least 55, so that you can say he has 3+ pitches, and perhaps even more concerning is just the lack of control, both in terms of his ratings at 35 right now and the 6 walks per 9 innings last year. He is not a guy I would, and also his character is another problem too for the locker room. Not a guy I dislike at all in real life, but I'm just diagnosing from his ratings right now. I don't think he's going to be able to fulfill his real life potential in game. So Swanson, Dansby Swanson, everyone, people who watch the channel should probably know at this point I'm a Braves fan, so to get Swanson is exciting for me. I plan to use Swanson as a third baseman. I think he, despite the ability to play shortstop, could be even a potential more Gold Glove caliber third baseman for us. And his hitting ratings are all very solid. The home run power is obviously not there, but everything else is extremely good. And the fact that he's a high character guy is good too, because the locker room was a big problem last year. And then we're also going to get Max Fried as well, and he's going to get a chance to at least attempt to slot into the rotation. He struggled a lot last year, but he will get a chance, I imagine, with us, so in some form or another. Our GM isn't quite sold on the deal, but it's one that I'm going to go through with. So there we go. There's another trade, and we are wheeling and dealing this offseason.
All right. Now we are going to make another deal. Is this 4 or 5? I've lost track. But Zach Granite, or shall I say our 2018 hero, I'm going to send along the way, and in return, I'm going to get back Kyle Freeland, who is arbitration eligible in 2019, so a lot of these players are, so we'll hope that our budget is bigger then, but we need to win ball games too, and Freeland, I don't find him to be that much better than Granite. It's weird to compare a center fielder to a starting pitcher, I know, but Freeland does offer probably quality innings, and with our rotation being what it is, and us having acquired Almora, this is a deal that makes sense for now. So I'm going to take that deal with the Rockies. All right, another deal. I am sending away Nate Jones and this third baseman, Trey Polish name, who does not seem to have the ratings that will work out for us. In return, I am receiving an absolute nobody, a 25-year-old in rookie ball. This trade functions as a salary dump for Nate Jones's salary. Now, no offense to Nate Jones, he did pitch well for us last year. He is a good relief pitcher. His ratings are certainly very good. I would even go so far to say is that this contract isn't really that bad. For a relief pitcher, relief pitchers are getting paid at a decent premium in today's MLB, but with our budget being what it is, I just don't want to be paying a relief pitcher $9.5 million over the next 2 years, and then with the team option as well. So to avoid that and possibly, make a signing, we're sending away what we think is a non-prospect and just getting rid of that money. And the Dodgers, they got loads of money, so no skin off their backs. All right, we're making another sort of, it's semi-salary dump move because of this $11 million on Garcia's salary. That's also a 1 year before free agency type of move, and we don't know how much money we're going to have, so we're going to send Garcia as well as non-prospect Logan Taylor. In return, we will receive Nick Pivetta. So Pivetta could potentially be a bullpen or rotation piece for us. Struggled with the Phillies last year. That's kind of a theme. We're trading for guys who struggled with their teams last year that we're going to hope can bounce back to some degree. So yes, this is a move we're making, and I think maybe we have 1 or 2 more trades to go before I'm all nice and settled with the team. Oh. So I was like, I'm not sure if I even included it in the last episode. There's a point where I was browsing around the team. I'm not sure if I included that bit in it would have been the first episode maybe. But Wellington Castillo's nickname is Beef, and I was like, why the hell is his nickname Beef? And it's because of Beef Wellington. So I just figured that out. It only took us a whole season, but I do think that is very funny. So well done, White Sox fans. All right, we have a prospect swap right here. I'm sending over this catching prospect, Alfaro. Doesn't look too bad. He's switch hitter. He's durable. That's sort of the nice things about him, but the 30 contact potential kind of kills it for me. Really interesting guy I've come across in the Red Sox organization, and that is Josh Alchemy. I've never heard of this guy. He is a real life player, and there's my head scout has a big sort of evaluation difference between OSA and what my head scout thinks. But if my head scout is correct, this is a guy who I feel like could be a potential DH for us sooner rather than later. It's just a big power bat in the lineup somewhere, and his avoid Ks, that's absolutely awful. It is really really bad, but the eye does make up for it. Usually I find like high power guys who have at least decentish avoid Ks are always almost always gonna be really good hitters, but the fact that his avoid Ks is really bad, I mean really really bad, does kill it a lot, but it also his eye can help save it, and he has 65 home run power, legitimately. So he is also outspoken too. That's another thing, but his ceiling seems a lot higher than Alfaro's as a prospect at least. So this is a deal I'm gonna go for. As our first sort of potential free agent signing, I have offered a contract to Renato Nunez. He is a 24-year-old Venezuelan first baseman. The contract stipulations were one of those where if you get promoted to the majors, you get. I offered him $1.2 million in that case. One thing that I do like about Nunez is that he is good against left-handed pitching. So I'm thinking some sort of platoon with him and Delmonico at first base would be good. So I'm visualizing this infield of Delmonico / Nunez, and then Moncada and Fontana probably still at short, and then Swanson at third. That could very well complement an eventual outfield of Almora, Rutherford, and Jimenez, and all of a sudden, with Castillo catching, and if the pitching can somehow improve, it seems like a team that is definitely at the bare minimum capable of winning more than 64 games. So he's the move I've made. All right, I think sort of I don't want to say final trade because you never know, but a trade I'm going to make here, and it might be a surprise, is I'm actually going to trade away Zach Collins. I think much like Michael Kopech's problem, Collins' ratings I just don't feel like will translate to success in this game. My problem being the contact potential, the avoid case potential, and perhaps most notably the catcher ability. Catcher ability is essentially OOTP's kind of general framing and also avoiding things like passed balls and wild pitches. And having a good defensive catcher is really helpful, especially if your rotation and arms are young or sort of suspect. So I just don't think Collins factors in as the catcher of the future at the moment. If I trade him, I'm able to sign a backup catcher who's a captain, and he will back up Beef Wellington. So I'm trading away Collins, and I feel like the return I'm getting is solid. Funkhauser is similar to Fried and Pavetta in that he could be in the rotation or he could be in the pen. Young, cost-controlled guy. And then also Gerson Moreno looks to be a really, really solid reliever. So we need relievers right now, and these two will fit the bill just fine. And I think Collins can maybe go help the rebuilding Tigers. So that's a trade. And yeah, I feel like this offseason is very slowly coming together, and I'm excited to get some of these free agent signings going now. All right, so quick update. Ichiro has signed with us. I went after him. So Ichiro's with us on a minor league deal. I went after him not for his ability at all, but because he is nationally and locally extremely popular, and also his accolades don't even fit on the screen properly, which is really funny. But If he gets some work as a utility outfielder, that's fine. I don't think he'll be productive in any way, but he will put butts in the seats, and that's why I went after him. Nunez, the first baseman I went for, has signed with us on this minor league deal, and I think he can maybe expect to see some action. The rest of our players, I'm still in negotiations with them. I'm going to show you my pending offers. OOTP, the free agency has been very wonky. I think they're still tweaking it. I've seen in saves where guys like Harper end up signing for like 15 million a year or something like that. It's weird and unrealistic. And I think also maybe perhaps a little bit unrealistic are some of these guys I'm going after. Joe Mauer on a 1-year deal for similar reasons. I think he probably has more to offer right now than Ichiro, but that popularity is there for sure, and that's part of the reason why I'm going after him. If I can get him, the headliner of the class will be Sonny Gray, and I've offered him 4 years, a total of 20 million, so about 5 million a year. Steven Souza Jr. I've gone off after he had an alrightish 2018. It could have been a lot better, but it's just a 1-year deal, so no big deal. And then I've also gone after Hechavarria. I like Hechavarria. He has great defensive ratings. He can make contact. He can avoid Ks. Everything else is not great, but I think he seems like a guy who can be solid, and I went after him for 2 years, 2.2 million. So these are all really cheap free agents. The fact that we can afford him is great. Our current payroll is 21 million, so I can just give you guys a look at those salaries. It's pretty much just going to be Castillo and a bunch of guys on league minimum, which is really funny. Let's go ahead and take a look at those salaries. Yeah, Rodon's 2.4 million, and literally that's it. Everyone else, and some guys are going to be unlocking arbitration, which is why we would like to have more money. But yeah, those are the signings we're gonna make, and this is gonna be like the ultimate kind of budget squad. That's what it's shaping up to be, and I'm actually really excited to start next year if we can get some of these signings to go our way. Sonny Gray has received a comparable offer from Washington. Rule 5 draft might be able to get a reliever, though. That would be nice. We'll see. It's good when you're rebuilding. Rule 5 draft is a lot more exciting than when you've already got a good team. Let's look at the pool. Jimenez is Rule 5 draft eligible. Not anymore, buddy. And we got a lot of guys who are Rule 5 draft eligible who I haven't added to the 40-man, so I gotta scan over that. 40-man. 40-man. Alright, I think I'm going to give Victor Arano a chance. The movement is downright frightening. Could be just a guy who allows a lot of home runs and sucks, but this arsenal's impressive, so why not? Drafted. Alright, I'm also going to pick an actual player that people know, Nick Castellanos. Once again, OTP being a little wonky there, but as you can see, he had a miserable season with Detroit in 18. I'm guessing they ended up non-tendering him. Then Cleveland picked him up and chose not to protect him for the Rule 5 draft. So I have sort of corner outfield spots that he can contend for right now, at least with Jimenez and Rutherford still in the minors. So no harm in it, and I can just cut him, and he'll go back to the Cleveland system if he doesn't work out. So I'm going to go for it. All right, it is New Year's Day. Joe Mauer is signing with us. The overall fan interest increases significantly, so that's great. Souza has also signed with us. He will probably be the right fielder on opening day. Hechavarria also signs with us, 2 years. And then Kevin Gossman will, if he gets promoted in the next month, be ours for 1 year, 1 million. And don't want to be a spoiler, but he will be promoted with us, probably be in the rotation even. So that is the updates. No Sonny Gray news yet. we're waiting on that. All right, so I've signed a bunch of interesting minor league free agents, guys who were maybe former major leaguers or just had interesting ratings. This is something I will show you guys how to do in a tutorial, but not high expectations for them at a major league level, but if they can keep your team winning in the minors, that's good because those teams start to decay after a while. And it could potentially hurt a prospect's development if they're frustrated about their team's record. So, never a bad idea to improve your minor league system, even if you don't feel like it'll directly improve your major league system. All right, and after much poking and prodding and negotiating, Sonny Gray is the headliner for our class. The terms of the deal ended up being $6.7 million for 3 years with an $8.2 million team option, and he will effectively be our ace starting pitcher, and we really hope he pitches like one. So we will see how that works out for us, but this roster is coming together. The only Hall of Famer this year is Mariano Rivera, so that's cool. I mean, he's no doubt first ballot, but my ballot, I think, had 7 people on it, so for those other 6, sorry. All right, here we are. What an amazing offseason this has been. I feel like Jerry DiPoto, kind of. Just kind of desperately making a lot of moves and hoping to somehow be successful. What I'm doing right now is I'm going to clear all my lineups and all my depth charts. I'm going to let the bench coach decide who plays and how long throughout the spring training process. And then, because I have 36 players on the spring training roster right now, I'm going to have a lot of roster cuts to make at the end of spring training. And there may be some injuries along the way that make my job a little bit easier, but yeah. So I'd just like to take this moment to talk about those players real quickly, because there are a lot of them. Castillo will be our starting catcher. Maldonado I signed to be the backup. Narvaez will either start the year, will probably start the year in AAA. Maurer we've talked about, could be a DH, could be a first baseman, but brought to be a locker room guy more than anything. Josh Okimi, this is the raw power hitting prospect we acquired from the Red Sox in a trade. Moncada, we know his ratings have come along really nicely in the offseason. I think he's ready to be an all-star caliber player. Delmonico, who hit 30, how many home runs was it? 34 home runs. Probably not going to get too much action at third base this year necessarily, but could get a lot of action at first base instead. Because of the trading for Dansby Swanson, who I'm actually going to assign Dansby to actually start and play third base, and I'll hit him third. He needs whatever experience he can get at third base because he's only 20, and that's not because of his ratings necessarily, it's just he doesn't have experience at third base, so he needs to gain that. So I'm going to make sure that he gets to start at third base. Fontana, I'm interested how it's going to turn out with him. His expectation is starting lineup, and I don't think it's going to shake out that way for him. So if he gets upset mid-season, we may have to trade him. He was our starting shortstop last year. He was worth 1 win above replacement. I see him more as a utility guy this year because of the signing of Hechavarria, who we have on board for 2 years. Saladino is the guy that was on the 40-man. He could be called up if an infielder gets hurt. Castellanos was Rule 5 drafted. I don't know if he'll actually end up making the team. He may get cut during camp and then, cut during spring training, and in which case he'll be sent back to Cleveland. Jimenez I think is ready to start for this team. He's going to do his 2 weeks down in AAA, just so we can get that extra year of team control, and then he's going to be brought right up. Ratings have come along really nicely, and I'm really excited to get him on the team, and he's going to be our first real big prospect, I think. Ichiro, again, not sure how he'll turn out, but he is extremely popular, and that he will help put butts in the seats similar to how Maurer will, so that's good. Almora we traded for with the Cubs. I am fairly certain he will be the starting center fielder, so that's good. I'm really happy to have him. Juancy Perez was the starting center fielder last year. Wasn't particularly good, but could serve a utility role this year. Victor Reyes is going to fight him for that utility role, and I think Reyes might win out. So Reyes could actually end up starting in left field to start the year while Jimenez is in AAA. And then Souza Jr., I think, will lay claim to at least one corner outfield spot on opening day. Whether he will make it through the entire year with the club or not is hard to say, but happy to have him. He's on a 1-year deal. Talk about pitching. Spencer Adams is one of our prospects. Will likely start the year in AAA, but good to have him in camp. Kyle Freeland we traded for. A lot of these guys are so borderline, we're not sure if they could be anywhere from the rotation to the bullpen to AAA. I imagine Freeland will find his way into the rotation. Max Fried's another one like that. We'll just see how it turns out for him. Funkhauser's also like that. Kevin Gausman's got a deal where if he gets promoted to the majors within the first 30 days, he activates like a 1-year, $1.3 million deal. But if he fails to make the spring training roster, that probably won't happen. So if he pitches well in spring training, he'll get his deal. And if he pitches poorly, he probably won't. Sonny Gray, our big signing, expects to be the ace or at least a front of the rotation starter for this year. I shelled out a lot of money for him, and we'll see how that actually turns out. But yeah, Pivetta we traded for as well. Again, not quite sure what he'll turn out to do this year. Carlos Rodon, we actually went after an arbitration. We didn't non-tender him. One of the few players who actually got arbitration money from us. I think he can still be a front-of-the-line rotation starter, a 2 or a 3. Despite really poor performance last year, his ratings are, I think, still solid, and his peripherals weren't as bad as that ERA makes him look. He was recovering from injury for a good bit of the year. Gregory Soto was a prospect we traded for with Detroit before the start of last year. He needs probably some time in AAA. He hasn't gotten to AAA level yet, but he could easily see the majors this year, especially if his control is able to develop fully. Victor Arano was a Rule 5 draft pick. Again, we'll see if he's similar to Castellanos, where he could end up just being cut, and in which case he would be returned to the Phillies. Zach Birdie is our relief pitching prospect. He spent most of the year recovering from like Tommy John or something like that. He had some sort of surgery. Ended up pitching 13 innings in AAA, absolutely tore it up. I imagine will be a big-time stopper, high-leverage reliever for us this year, probably be our best reliever. He's got fantastic ratings, absolutely amazing. Jake Diekman's got one of those. We got him on a 1-year, $1.5 million deal. I added him late. We needed a lefty. I felt like Derek Holland. I signed him. His ratings really took a tumble. He's on one of those minor league deals where if he gets promoted within 30 days, he gets a major league contract, and if not, then he gets cut. If he pitches well in spring training, he could still make the team, but we'll see about him. Ronaldo Lopez was actually on the team last year. He didn't pitch well, but he's still hanging around. He's young, he's cost-controlled, no reason to get rid of him just yet. Juan Minaya, similar situation to Lopez. It's a lot of names. Gerson Moreno, we traded for in the trade with the Tigers. The exact details of which were we traded Collins for Moreno and Funkhauser, just to remind myself. He's still got a lot of room to grow, but I think I could see him definitely starting with the MLB team still. One more pitcher, Jorge Rondon, pitched 45 innings for us last year. Young, cost-controlled reliever who managed to stay on the roster with a lot of turnover. So 36 guys right now, I think, in spring training roster as a whole. Only 25 can make it. So I'm excited to get through this spring training, make those final cuts. I think we're looking like a team that could. I don't want to come out and say oh, I think we can be wildcard contender. Oh, I think we can be 500 ball. But I, at the very minimum, I feel like I've improved the team a lot without necessarily selling out on these top prospects like Robert and Jimenez and Rutherford. And I think that's really would have been my goal as a GM. So definitely a fascinating offseason, a very active one. And it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out in spring training and in the upcoming season. So that will end the episode right here. And yeah, I will see you guys at the end of spring training for final cuts, and then we'll make our way through opening day. All right, see ya.